Welcome to our annual general meeting, this day, the 11th of December. And I welcome members of the public. I haven't got any members of the press at the moment. But can I ask everybody to have their phones on silent, please? And to note that our meeting is audio recorded, live stream audio, and I have to read out this notice. Ladies and gentlemen, please note this meeting is being audio live streamed and recorded on Council's website in accordance with the Council's live streaming of open council meetings policy. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website after the meeting. While care is taken to maintain your privacy while in attendance at the Council meeting, please note that your presence in the Council chambers and or your voice may be live streamed and recorded, including any statement made during public question time or consideration of planning matters. All speakers ought to refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing personal information of another individual without their prior consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from the defamatory comments, and all liability will rest with the individuals making those comments. By remaining in the public gallery, you are deemed to consent to being live streamed and recorded. If any person attending the meeting does not agree to be live streamed or recorded, you may choose to leave the meeting. Thank you. So just a notice that I need to read out. Okay, attendance at the moment, we might have two apologies. Oh, actually, how do we record the audio on? No. So Councillor Goss is supposed to be coming.
I think it's
Yeah, it's now, right now. Well timed. Okay. Table of contents of the annual general meeting is as is. Acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians on the land on which we gather. And I acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. Welcome and introduction to our annual general meeting. This is the message from the Mayor. While our communities continue to grow, Council again focused on key identified infrastructure projects in 2022-23. Including the re-roofing of the Avondale Town Hall, upgrades to the Cressy Memorial Pool, completion of the Cressy Recreation Ground alfresco barbecue shelter. One of the many highlights was the opening of the new $3.8 million Perth Early Learning Centre, which was completed in March 2023. The purpose-built centre provides for 46 long daycare places and 40 after-school care places for children from Perth, Avondale, Devon Hills, Longford, Cressy, Bishopsburn and the surrounding rural properties. That's 86 places in total. Featuring 4 specialist rooms, 0 to 18 months, 18 months to 3 years, 3 to 5 years and before school, after school and vacation care 5 years to 12 years. The facility also boasts a separate meeting room, staff room, laundry and kitchen. The centre was federally funded through the Community Development Grant Program, $2.6 million, and Local Roads Community Infrastructure Grant, $1.1 million, and provides local families with more spaces for childcare, enabling the return of the Perth Community Centre for usage by the community. The $1.577 million Cressy War Memorial Pool redevelopment included a new pool complex entrance directly from the main street, a renovated and modernised kiosk office and storage area, a new raised, shaded and sheltered sun deck, new shade shelter over the toddlers pool, upgrades to the concourse and underground pipework surrounding the pool, including building the concourse up to create a flush entry to the pool rather than a step up and in, and sealing, line marking and landscaping of the complex car park. It was initially envisaged that it would take several years to complete the scope of the work required, but council officers were able to achieve this over 3 years thanks to the funding that was available. Following the completion of the upgrade at the Cressy War Memorial Swimming Pool, council maintained a full season of lifeguards and the committee again did a fantastic job throughout the season, ensuring users enjoyed this facility to the fullest. While relatively small, the Cressy Recreation Ground is important and it is an integral component of our sport and recreation infrastructure, serving as the town's main sport and recreation precinct. A year-round, all-inclusive facility, the redevelopment included a kitchen kiosk and infrastructure upgrades, new clubroom furniture, new clubroom veranda, new roof and repainting inside and out, and a new undercover spectator viewing area. With Northern Tasmania's economy being well positioned to grow and take advantage of the strong demand for our agricultural exports, foods, manufactured products and tourism experiences, critical to this growth is the development and maintenance of the TransLink Industrial and Logistic Precinct, which is able to trade flows to and from our trading partners in Australia and overseas. The TransLink Precinct Renewal Program aims to achieve sufficient stormwater capacity in the precinct to deal with the runoff from a 1 in 100 year storm event. And to this end, the commissioning of the Gatty Street Detention Basin, a massive hole in the ground, and in Western Junction during April is a small but very critical piece of that infrastructure. During the reporting period, the Tasmanian Government announced the introduction of a levy on all waste sent to landfill across Tasmania. Council subsequently chose to commence a curbside food organics and garden organics FOGO collection service to divert waste away from landfill, thus reducing costs to the Northern Midlands residents in the longer term. The program was rolled out in January 2023 and the council successfully already diverted 488 tonnes of green waste from landfill to the end of June 2023. Moving beyond the infrastructure programs, Council has prepared the following community strategies and has commenced consultation on some of the strategies: communications and engagement, arts and culture, economic development, health and wellbeing, a youth strategy, and domestic and family violence strategy. Community feedback is now being incorporated into the draft strategies for Council's consideration. In March 2023, the Future of Local Government Review Board released the Future of Local Government Review Stage 2, their interim report. The review's objectives are to create a more robust and capable system of local government, ready for the challenges and opportunities of the future, and to make recommendations on the future role, functions, and design of local government. The review argues that change is necessary because some councils are unable to provide services, maintain current infrastructure, attract necessary qualified staff, and/or meet the needs of their communities now and into the future. The review presented several community catchment area infrastructure. The review presented several community catchment area scenarios for amalgamation and a rationale for achieving economies of scale, leading a successful and sustainable future system of local government in Tasmania. However, it is Council's view that the Northern Midlands residents would be severely disadvantaged under all the community catchment scenarios presented in the Future of Local Government Review. Northern Midlands Council continues to meet with state government representatives and strongly encourages all residents to have a say on our future and provide your councillors and the state government with a clear view of your preference for the future of the Northern Midlands municipality. I'm pleased the government confirmed its commitment to no forced amalgamations, which means the Northern Midlands Council can continue to maintain and strengthen its strong association with its community and retain the necessary balanced industry, small business, residential and rural ratepayer base, which has put the municipality in such an enviable position while minimising cost of living pressures through rates on residents. Choosing the right region or neighbourhood for your lifestyle is one of the most important decisions anyone can make. And the Northern Midlands offers the perfect blend of work and leisure and with close-knit communities that value work-life balance and well-being, along with a diverse range of activities for every traveller. With that in mind, the Northern Midlands Council has substantially progressed a marketing campaign known as Choose the Scenic Route. Building on the substantial growth that has already occurred and set to launch in August 2023, the aim of the campaign is to attract people to the region, convert visitors to residents, and highlight the lifestyle benefits of choosing the scenic route. I have continued to work closely with the state government and agencies on the issues of family and domestic violence, with a focus on providing housing for women and their children who are forced into homelessness. Council has made significant progress throughout the year, and I'd like to thank our management and staff for their ongoing dedication in achieving such great outcomes while continuing to support our communities. I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank my fellow councillors for their commitment and ongoing support throughout the past year, enabling the Northern Midlands to continue to be a leader in growth and development. Thank you. Okay, do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest? Okay, that's good.
The minutes?
Yes, you move the minutes, confirmation of the minutes from the 12th of December 2022. And Councillor Bruce seconding. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Public submissions, the annual report has been circulated with the notice of the annual general meeting advertised in the Examiner. There's been no questions on notice been received. And no questions without notice?
No, you asked that question, Madam Mayor.
That's the end of the...
I know.
Now, oh, we need to ask the question. Yes, do we have any, sorry, any questions from the community for the annual general meeting? No? That's fine. I will close the annual general meeting. And then 511. We can move any second with a vote, we do, don't we? Yes, Councillor Lambert and Councillor Brooks. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, so meeting. Okay, welcome to our, what's the end? That's all right, I'm just reading it wrongly. Our ordinary meeting. Attendance as is. Table of contents. Now, there are 2 additional items to the table of contents, and I wish to step out of the chair for one of them. The Deputy Mayor will take the chair.
Madam Mayor, I'll declare an interest for one of the items as well.
Okay, so we have 2 items. I'm just here for one of those, which is to put a motion to include into the table of contents 5.5.1, notice without motion, Mayor's correspondence to the Office of Local Government. And the motion is that the Mayor move that the Council resolve by absolute majority to deal with this matter, which is not included on the agenda. The matter is that the Mayor write to the Acting Director of Local Government to request that he recommend to the Minister for Local Government that he issue a performance improvement direction, that's a PID, to Councillor Andrew McCullough, following him resuming his office as councillor, to protect the General Manager, Mr Jennings, to protect the General Manager's health and safety in the workplace and prevent behaviour and conduct towards Mr Jennings that either treats him unfairly, causes him offence or embarrassment, or comprises of bullying or harassment. Now, do I have a mover, please?
I'll move that.
Thank you, Mayor. And do I have a seconder? Thank you,
I'll second it.
Councillor Adams. I'll put the motion.
Question.
Table.
Procedural.
All those in favour?
Procedural motion.
Hang on.
Procedural motion.
Excuse me, this is just to include in the table of contents.
It's a procedural motion about doing that.
And your procedural motion would
Is
be?
that, does it fall under the Regulation 8 provisions? And can you clarify that?
It falls under yes, I can. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
It falls under Regulation 8, 6, which is A, B and C. And would you like me to read that out?
Yes,
It is
please.
a council by absolute majority at an ordinary council meeting or council committee by a simple majority at a council committee meeting may decide to deal with a matter that is not on the agenda if A, the General Manager has reported the reason it was not possible to include in the matter on the agenda, and B, the General Manager has reported that the matter is urgent, and C, in a case where the matter requires the advice of a qualified person, the General Manager has certified under Section 65 of the Act that the advice has been obtained and taken into account in providing general advice to Council. So,
Further point of clarification. Which one of
Yes,
those,
Councillor.
A, B and C, is this falling under?
all three.
So it's urgent,
Yes,
professional advice,
yes,
and
yes.
yes.
Well, come on, it's not a question time.
No, it's not. I've asked procedural questions and I can do that.
Thank you. Point of order. I have clarified the motion.
Thank you very much.
I'm asking for this to be included into the table of contents. I will now put Councillor Goss.
Just a question, Acting Mayor. So this is only voting to include it in the
Yes,
in the
correct. Just to include it into
it's not,
the
it's not
table of
voting on the
contents.
on the
No.
thank you.
I will put the motion. Oh, sorry, do I have a mover? Sorry, I had a mover and a seconder. Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
I have a show of hands of both, please. We'll start with those in favour. I've got Councillor Archer, Councillor Andrews, Mayor Knowles, Councillor Goss, Councillor Adams and myself. And those against, I have Councillor Brooks and Councillor Terrett. Thank you.
Thank you, Desmond. Yes. Wasn't. Come back. Okay, the second additional item that we'd like to have included is, it's in front of me, a late item, the SES request for transfer of ownership of an asset. So I need a mover and a seconder to have that included. Councillor Adams and
Point of clarification. Point of clarification. What basis is this being included as an additional item?
We only just received the request late last week, and they're looking at transferring the vehicles later this month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Adams, you were moving. Do I have
Yep.
a seconder? Councillor Goss.
And sorry, when I
Yes.
say request, formal request.
Thank you.
Should that be 15.4 or?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it will be. Yes. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And the rest of the table of contents is as is. Do I need to do the acknowledgement of country again?
No.
I didn't think so, no. And declarations of pecuniary interest. No one has declarations of pecuniary interest for the main meeting? No?
Closed meeting.
The closed meeting, items?
4.1. Devon Hills.
Nobody else?
Yes, I have the same.
Yep.
And we'll have the one for the item,
Oh, yes.
that one, and also I think we're going to provide some advice from closed council with regards to
Yes, at the end of closed council, I'll advise.
performance review.
Yes. I will just provide some advice, the update on the performance review as it stands. Confirmation of the council minutes from Monday, the 20th of November. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Archer.
I move amendments to that.
I need a mover and a seconder first, and so Councillor Archer and Councillor Andrews. And you wish to move an amendment?
Yes.
Terry.
Item 5.3.2 should read, the council develop a workforce planning strategy and it be listed for the 24-25 budget. And the other item is 5.3.3, Longford Town Hall Committee, that the officers prepare a report on the motion of notice to the next council meeting.
So the mover and seconder, you are happy with that amendment?
Who was the second?
The second was Councillor Andrews.
Well, that's another motion, we need to do a seconder to the amendment.
Oh, okay, yes, you're moving the amendment, so we need a seconder to that amendment. Councillor Brooks.
Can I just
So
ask a
if
question?
Yes.
Do the minutes get cross-checked with the audio? Because if it does, how do the minutes not correspond? That's the question.
The minutes reflect the discussions when the individual taking the minutes, and then officers check it, that's my responsibility to check that. Reflects what they believe to be discussion at the time. It also is up there for yourselves to check. So we go by what's actually you agreed to on the night in the actual, not in the recording, with regards to what you agreed, what's up the front there yourselves are checking.
What the motions were.
This, whilst I can't debate the motions, it is clear in the Act, regulation, that it's for the General Manager to check that. There's also provision when under Regulation 33.3 to also listen to the council meeting, to listen and clarify the audio. It is irrelevant what the minute taker is putting down. It is ultimately relevant what the discussions took place.
Well, sorry, I took into account that from what I've heard within the conversations, I believe that they were appropriate at the time. And as I've indicated to council, those that have concerns with the actual amendments, the opportunity to amend those comes to this meeting. As General Manager, I don't have that right to amend them, as I believe that was what you had voted for at that time.
Councillor Voss.
Mayor, when I voted at council meetings, I vote what's up there on the board, unless one what Councillor Turks moved and Councillor Brooks moved, I vote on that. I wouldn't like to see that change from something else written in that comes off a minute later on, because that's what I vote on. I vote what's on the board. I don't vote on what someone might have said during the minutes, which come on the recording, and I wouldn't like to think that I voted, but the minute that can actually change what's on the board. I wouldn't like to go along down that track. I think it needs to be what's on the board is what we vote on, and if people need time to read what's on the board, we need to ask them more time to do that.
Councillor Archer.
Could I just ask Councillor Terrick the actual reasons why, obviously, he has changed it, and perhaps...
Oh, well, I haven't changed it.
Oh, why?
Well, I believe it's a true and correct record of the council meeting. Was because that was the motion that I moved. Checking back through the audio, that's what I moved. I'm talking across to the councillors. I am not looking up there at that point. And it's ultimately for the General Manager to check that with the audio. And the Act regulation makes it very clear that that's where it should be checked.
Well, as Mayor, I'd like to make it quite clear that what's on the board is the motion, and that's what we'll get.
I beg to differ you at that point.
Well, you can differ. Councillor Archer, have you finished?
The reason I asked the question is just could you explain in the wording there where the minutes failed? Is it repairing a report by the next council meeting? Are you saying that was left out?
That was left out. It was the officers' recommendations that were put up, not the recommendations that I moved. One was a commitment to develop a workforce planning strategy. So it was a commitment to develop a workforce planning strategy and to list it for the budget. And the other one was to prepare a report and the motions I noticed the next meeting, not to a future council meeting, which could be any time.
Councillor Adams, did you have your hand up?
No, I didn't.
That's right.
Only that say that that we voted on the notice of motion, or did we not? Did we make the recommendation from the officers? What was the what was
The one that was on the board is the one that's in blue.
right? And is that what we voted on?
Yes.
I believe we voted on my motion, which I put to the council meeting.
Well, you've made an amendment and we've got a second to Councillor Lambert. Do you wish to speak? I'll put the amendment to the vote.
I would just like to say that I'd like to support what Councillor Goss has said. We have, as a normal practice, we all take a little bit of a responsibility to make sure that we are very clear on what we are voting on. And as far as I'm concerned, the checkpoint there is what is written up on the board. Now, maybe in future, to ensure that we don't have any confusion moving forward, may I suggest that maybe the Mayor rereads out the final motion, because often we do change wording and things do get changed, but at the end of the day we all need to take a little bit of responsibility for making sure we understand what we're voting for. As far as I'm aware, that has always been the practice, but maybe if we could get the Mayor to read out the final motion to make sure that everyone is absolutely clear on what we're voting.
Except for planning motions, they go forever.
Yeah, but in general, perhaps we should look at that to make sure that we're clear.
Okay, I'm going to, Councillor Brooks.
But isn't it the General Manager's job to check these? This is the whole
Been through-
point of what Councillor Terrick's saying. Like, we're double checking them. We're cross-checking the minutes to make sure they're true and correct. That's the whole crutch of what Councillor Terrick's trying to say. If we just let it go through, yes, people make mistakes. We realise that, but if the General Manager's checking it, there shouldn't be a mistake.
Well,
Okay.
Madam Mayor, sorry, if it's up on the screen and that's what you're voting on, that's what we as officers will be ensuring stays within the minutes. So, end of the day, I think the suggestion made by Councillor Lambert with regards to the Mayor reading it out, I think it's a good idea. That way everybody can be on the same page at the same time and be assured that the motion up there is the one that you want to go up there.
Okay, I'm going to put the amendment. All those in favour?
Aye.
Can you put your hands up?
Well, have we had a seconder for the amendment?
Yes, we did, Councillor Brooks.
Aye.
Yes. So, and all those against? Aye. So those four, can you put your hands up, please? Councillor Brooks and Councillor Terrett.
I'm for it.
You're for it, Councillor Archer. And those against? Councillor Adams, Councillor Goss, Councillor Lambert.
I'm not sure, I'm confused about what we're doing really, so.
Voting to change.
We're voting on whether the changes should be the amendment. The amendment. And if you don't vote, then it's a negative vote.
It's whether it's changing the minutes or not.
Yeah.
Councillor Terry.
So we need the ones against.
We're voting for.
Okay, so the ones
Yeah,
against,
I
we
get it.
need your hands up again, please. Councillor Adams, Councillor Goss, Councillor Lambert, Councillor Andrews, you're happy to?
No, I'll vote for it. I'm supporting the amendment.
Okay, so we need, yeah, that's fine. So that's for all, isn't it?
That's right.
So it's lost.
Yes.
It's lost, yeah. So now it goes back to the original motion. That we accept the minutes, yes.
Hang on.
It's for all, so it's lost.
Then
So
we
now
go
it goes back to the
motion.
original motion, which is that we, the recommendation is that we accept the minutes of the last council meeting on the 20th of November.
What happens if that's for all?
Well, let's deal with it as it's before the council.
True. All right. I'm just asking the question, Councillor Adams,
It's an
that's
equal
all.
vote, it's lost.
Is that
Okay,
all right?
I'm going to put the recommendation that we accept the minutes. Oh, do we need a mover? Oh, we've got the mover and second.
Can you please read out the
Yes, Councillor
motion
Archer.
again, just to make sure?
Yes, that the open council minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Northern Midlands Council held at the council chambers in Longford, Monday the 20th of November, be confirmed as a true record of proceedings. Those for? Against?
Aye.
So against is Councillor Terrett,
I'm against.
Councillor Brooks, Councillor Andrews and Councillor Archer. So what do we do now? We've got to accept the minutes.
Yeah, the minutes have to be accepted one way.
Well, it's exactly the question I asked.
Don't it?
Got ridiculed.
It wasn't really ridiculing you. I said it'll be lost, and it is lost. So somehow or other, the minutes have to be accepted from the last meeting.
Mhm.
And for all doesn't do it. So what do we do now? Councillor Goss.
Well, it's after a clarifying point. If we don't accept the minutes tonight, can we accept them in a future meeting?
And I think that's what the process will be. We'll bring it forward to the next meeting.
Yes, correct.
Allow us to go for it. Yeah.
Right. We don't need to move that or anything? No. Okay, the date of the next council meeting is Monday, the 29th of January 2024. Now, I have here a letter to read regarding the Code of Conduct Determination Report. This is a letter from the General Manager to our, to the councillors, and this is so that everybody is very clear about what's going on. Dear councillors, I wish to confirm that we have been provided with an official notice of the appeal from Mr McCullough that has been lodged with the Magistrates Court. As such, Section 28ZK 6 of the Local Government Act 1993 applies, noting that Section 28ZK 4, which is the listing of the determination report as an agenda item, is not to apply until such time as the review is complete. We took advice today, now this was written on Friday, we took advice today that we need to take reasonable steps to meet the requirements with regard to the direction from the Office of Local Government. Therefore, the determination report will be removed as an agenda item for the council meeting on the 11th of December. The agenda, which is the subject of public view on the Northern Midlands Council website, will be adjusted to remove the item. Further, for your information, the suspension of Councillor McCullough has had immediate effect and it will continue until midnight on the 26th of December 2023. The effect of the determination is that for the period of the suspensions, Councillor McCullough is not to exercise the functions and power of a councillor under the Local Government Act 1993.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. I believe that the director has requested this not to be discussed in the agenda, and what you're doing is artificially putting this on the
I'm
agenda.
reading a letter that is open to the public. And
But
this,
it's
We're discussing
also
it.
putting it on the agenda. It was specifically advised council that this item should not be on the agenda
Sorry.
as a result of
The
a
advice we've
amendment.
got, councillor, was to remove the actual determination, and we've actually done that.
So now you're looking at a way of getting around it.
No, we won't be putting the item back on. You're receiving information that is public information.
It's the same, exactly
Same
the same
information
thing
as
you've
the-
actually removed off the agenda, Madam
So-
Mayor.
I'm going to continue reading the letter.
It's out of order.
It's out of order, Madam Mayor.
It is. It's out
Madam
of
Mayor, I'd
order.
like to
Order.
That's enough.
That matter is out of order.
Making the
That is enough.
meeting
Will
a
be
bloody
respectful,
chaos.
please. I'm going to continue reading the letter, and you just need.
I'll move a motion of dissent in your ruling.
Oh, is there a seconder? Councillor Brooks?
The caucus.
Excuse me?
The caucus.
I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Councillor Brooks and Councillor Terrett. All those against? Everybody else. I'll continue to read the letter. The effect of the determination is that for the period of the suspension, Councillor McCullough is not to exercise the powers and functions of a councillor under the Local Government Act 1993. This includes, but is not limited to, no longer participating as a councillor in council meetings, council workshops, councillor committee meetings or special committee meetings. No longer receiving communications from the council provided to councillors. No longer being able to request information from the General Manager relating to the performance and functions of a councillor. No longer representing himself as a councillor, including using the title councillor in any correspondence or on any social media, or representing the views of council in the capacity of a councillor. No longer using council's resources made available to him in his capacity as a councillor, and no longer receiving a councillor allowance. It is an offence under section 339C of the Act to perform or exercise the functions and powers of a councillor, or to attempt to do so during a period of suspension. Non-compliance with this provision carries a fine of up to 50 penalty points, which is $9,050. And we don't need any movement to do with
Just a
this.
statement.
Yes, a statement to be made. And now the next statement to be made is correspondence from the Director of Local Government. And I wish to read that out as well. Dear councillors, I write to express serious concern regarding recent public exchanges relating to the Northern Midlands Council, including allegations of bullying, harassment and other harmful behaviours from council parties. While I recognise Council has proactively undertaken a number of actions to improve the workplace environment, due to the ongoing nature of these interactions, their apparent severity and the potential adverse impact on the wellbeing of council staff, elected representatives and the broader community, I believe it is necessary to immediately resolve this unacceptable situation. A failure by the council to provide a safe workplace may constitute an offence under the Work Health and Safety Act, a legislative framework, particularly where known and ultimately preventable risks such as psychosocial harm are not mitigated. Both councillors and staff also have individual responsibilities and obligations in this respect. Moreover, a poor workplace environment will ultimately impact on the effective good governance of council to the detriment of the community. For these reasons, it is vital that council maintains appropriate capability to address bullying, harassment and other harmful behaviours. I am broadly aware that council has already independently sought some advice in relation to these obligations and any appropriate control measures. However, given these measures do not appear to have alleviated the grievances and allegations of all council parties, I have determined to refer this matter to the Work Health and Safety Regulator, WorkSafe Tasmania, as the appropriate regulatory body for further independent inquiry. I expect WorkSafe Tasmania will be in touch with council in due course. Beyond the council's work, health and safety obligations, I reinforce that councillors, council employees general managers and other persons concerned with council business must exercise their duties, powers and functions in accordance with the Local Government Act 1993, the Act. While I note that interactions I have referred to are principally matters of conduct and therefore fall within the remit of the council itself, the Code of Conduct framework and the above-mentioned work health and safety legislation framework, as Director of Local Government, I reserve a right to consider broader powers available to me under the Act if potential breaches are identified. Finally, I will remind all councillors and staff to consider their role and standing within the community and the importance of maintaining appropriate standards of conduct and confidentiality in order to foster community confidence and maintain the reputation of council as a whole. In this respect, I also note that public exchanges that concern allegations or complaints raised with this office, the Code of Conduct panel, or any other regulatory authority can have detrimental impacts on subsequent investigations and can undermine procedural fairness. I request that this letter be read out at the next council meeting to inform the Northern Midlands community of my concerns and the fact that this issue has been referred to WorkSafe Tasmania for further inquiry. And I'd just like to add a note that as councillors, we are the council, we employ our general manager, and it is our responsibility to make sure there's a safe workplace and that we're providing a safe workplace for our general manager.
Yeah.
I'd like to move the motion.
Yes.
That council appoint an independent arbitrator to liaise in 2024 with councillors to improve the relationships of council.
Okay. You can move that motion if you wish. I'll just make a comment that WorkSafe Tasmania is going to be going right through and doing just that anyway.
Sorry, could you
So-
read?
That council appoint an independent arbitrator to arbitrate councillor behaviour in 2024.
Do I have a seconder? The motion lapsed for lack of a seconder. Okay, move on to motions on notice now.
Sorry, Matt.
I did move it. Oh, okay, sorry. Yes. Okay, move on.
Just finish that later.
Yep. I'll have to go this way. Here we go. Okay, now it's public question time. Okay. Now, is there any member of the public who wishes to make a statement or ask a question that's nothing to do with our planning items? Sometimes community members come along and they have a different query. Okay, we'll move into planning. Councillor Goss, Councillor Lambert. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak on Planning 1, which is section 40K report on the draft amendment at 16A Logan Road? Any questions? No? Okay. Planning 2 is the large-scale solar energy facility. Does anyone wish to speak or ask a question? You just need to state your name and address, and you've got 3 minutes to speak. Up here.
Thank you, Mayor and councillors. Simon Reid is my name. I'm Managing Director of Robert Luxmore, the project manager on behalf of the proponent, Connerville Estates. Just wanted to say a few words in relation to the matter, and thank you for allowing me to speak. The Northern Midlands Solar Farm is the first large-scale solar farm proposed in Tasmania. It is a landmark project that will provide significant benefit to the region and the state. It will provide significant renewable energy generation supporting Tasmanian renewable energy targets and the transition to renewables. The project will provide energy for some 70,000 homes. My company's been working with the proponent for more than 2 years to reach this point. There has been a lot of work done on scoping, feasibility, due diligence and design. Furthermore, we have worked closely with landowners on the proposed transmission line route, as well as TasNetworks. We've undertaken community engagement activities, including direct meetings and multiple open drop-in sessions that were well attended by a number of members of council also. The location close to Palmerston substation makes it an excellent candidate site for solar connection to the national energy market grid, which I'm sure you're all aware. Connellwell Station is a large landholding entirely capable of hosting such a large solar farm with appropriate setbacks to neighbouring residences. Importantly, among the suite of technical assessments that have been prepared to inform design, we've addressed noise, transport, hydrology, and have Tasmanian Fire Service support from the fire risk assessment perspective, which was terribly important, of course. The DA process is a significant step in the project's progress. However, there will still be a significant work to be undertaken as part of the planning conditions and separately. We remain in ongoing engagement with TasNetworks for the grid connection and infrastructure design and have detailed design to undertake, including micro-siting of transmission that will inform valuation and compensation for all of the landowners that we're engaged with. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking council officers and the community members for their engagement on this project, and thank you for your consideration. We look forward to continuing working on this project.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak or make a statement on Planning 2? Okay. Right, Planning 1. The draft amendment, 16A Logan Road, previously known as 35 or 36 Collins Street. Does one of the council officers want to speak about it?
So this amendment has been previously considered by council but has now gone through a public exhibition process. This report is basically to consider the representation received during that period and for council to provide a statement to the Tasmanian Planning Commission as to their the merits of the representation and whether they wish to make any modifications, and that it meets the LPS criteria and that it gives its approval to the draft amendment.
Any discussion,
Can we
Councillor?
just bring up the recommendation?
That's, oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Is that the one they'd have extra bit in it?
So there was some discussion about there being an amendment to Part 1 to remove the word "and." The alternative has been provided to go.
So I'll read that out. That the Council Planning Authority under Section 40K of the Land Use Planning Approvals Act 1993 provide the Tasmanian Planning Commission with the report at attachment 11.1.1 of this report in relation to draft amendment 10/2023 to introduce a site-specific qualifications to the Northern Midlands Local Provision Schedule. 1, stating that in relation to the merit of the representation, the Planning Authority is of the opinion that the draft amendment ought to be modified as follows. The qualification be amended to read, if for a market directly associated with the Evandale market. The reason being to avoid the possibility of the site being operated as a market in isolation. And 2, stating that the draft amendment meets the LPS criteria. And 3, recommending that the Tasmanian Planning Commission give its approval to the draft amendment. So we need a mover and a seconder.
So that's the alternative
Yes.
wording in that recommend. Or does that need to be moved as an amendment to that?
No,
No, we can move it as that if the councils want to do that.
Oh, happy to move.
Councillor After's moving. Councillor Boss, you're seconding. Any discussion?
Oh, I'd just like to say that my concern was that the site would be used for a market other than the Evandale market, and I agree that change, where it's directly associated with the Avondale market, is more in keeping with what council considers the use of the land should be. So that's why I support the motion.
Councillor Adams, did you wish to speak?
I agree entirely. That was the wording was a little bit different to that, and I think this tidies it up and gives it quite a tightness about that. It's to do with the Avondale market, and it's a bit of an extension to that, not setting up a new market and setting up a retail outlet in another area. And I think that's good, and I hope the tribunal sees that, the planning commission.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Planning 2 is the large-scale solar energy facility at 345 Road, Kesson. I have a mover, Councillor Goss, and a seconder, Councillor Terrett. Any discussion? Councillor Goss?
Yeah, my only concern is that other large-scale solar plants have had is that they've got some batteries there, and I worry about them if they catch on fire. I'm not talking about bushfires, I'm talking about if the batteries actually catch on fire. What really worries me, and the most, is that the nearest brigade is Cressy, and I don't know whether the Cressy Fire Brigade would have the capacity to put out a lithium battery fire. I'm not sure if any fire brigades can do that. I'm not sure how the fire brigade plans to manage that, but I know with our last solar battery application, I think we might have contacted the fire brigade and got the fire brigade to advise us how they're going to manage that if there was a lithium battery fire, and what kind of personnel they might need and what kind of equipment they might need for that. I just would ask the General Manager, that's still that we ask the same kind of thing with this one as well, General Manager?
Yes, I think we can put it in as a note as well.
Can we put that in as a note, just on the thing? I think it's really important because if a fire got away in the lithium, we're seeing what happens on social media and on TV with little things like battery drills exploding or vapes exploding. I mean, we're talking about a really big capacity of something here, and it could be quite serious for those people who might have to attend that. Thank you.
Do we have a copy of the note from the last meeting? To do with the battery, because I think that's what Councillor Goss is suggesting. So, Councillor Goss, can you come up with some wording?
I can't come up with the word on top of my head, just that we're going to make a note that they have discussions with the Tasmanian Fire Service and how to manage a lithium battery fire, and what kind of, and provide training for the local brigades or provide equipment for the local brigades. Because as I said, I wouldn't like to see untrained people go and attend one of those fires. It could be quite bad.
Put that up first. Actually, I guess it's working with TasFire, which they're already doing. It's already in.
It's good. Instead of saying question, could we say local fire brigades, because there is the Lake River Fire Brigade, they might get called first.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's the same thing, so just say local fire.
Well, there was a rural brigade up there.
That's Lake River, yeah. Still.
Councillor Terry.
Just clarification on that. Can we delegate authority to the General Manager to come up with that correct wording, just so it is correct and make it life a bit easier if it's acceptable on that one? And just speaking on generally on this solar farm, it's what will be a significant addition to our renewables in Tasmania. It will be a game changer for us to hopefully push down energy prices. It always concerns me with energy prices in Tasmania going up. We're doing our fair share of trying to provide energy and it's going to the mainland. I just hope that this may be another step to reducing energy prices in Tasmania.
Councillor Brooks.
Just I think that's in the report with the fire issue.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all covered.
Right.
Councillor Archer.
Look, I'd just like to say I support the project. It's obviously a significant renewable energy project. I consider the site to be probably one of the best in regards to its effect on other people. I know there are representatives who are dealing with proponents in regards to some farming issues. I'm happy that these people will be able to deal with the company to handle their concerns. But as a planning authority, I support the project and hope that the discussions with representatives are fair and meaningful.
Councillor Adams.
I think, this answers all the technical reports that needed to be done. There is a concern, and council has expressed that, about the batteries, which is a different to this project actually, but the concern is genuine, and I hope we can have a note that goes with it. As a boy growing up with Powhatina and driving the hole through the mountain up to the lake, it's wonderful to see another with renewables, another renewable process starting in the same area. It's as Councillor Archer said, being as close to Palmerston distribution network, it really gives it a great opportunity to operate without too many other problems coming in. So I will certainly support the application.
Any further discussion, Councillor Andrews?
Yes, I support the application, and hopefully the conditions that people have talked about will be looked at and taken into account. I support it because this is leading edge stuff, and Tasmania is leading the way in renewable energy, and it's come from private enterprise. It's being led by private enterprise, and that's a wonderful thing to see, and it's starting to fulfil the vision that a federal and state politician called Peter Ray talked about 25 years ago. So finally, after all that time, it's starting. So that's wonderful.
Okay, I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Good. We'll go back to, we move out of planning. Need to move out of planning. Councillor Lambert. Second, Councillor Andrews. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Good enough. We go back to motions on notice. 5.4.1. Councillor Terrace put forward a motion on notice regarding the Community for Walkability Evandale report.
I'd like to move as per the officer's recommendation with additional words. Future council meeting in 2024.
Council meeting in 2024.
24. Just additional 2 words, just a clarification.
We check out
So-
2025, do we? But
The report to come back to council next year. That's
So, all right, Councillor Terrace, so you're moving that motion,
yes.
and do I have a seconder? Councillor Lambert. Any discussion? Councillor Boss, you had your hand
No,
up.
I just wasn't quite sure where we were up to, Madam Mayor.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Okay.
come back to the motion.
Okay.
5.4, you right now?
Sorry.
Okay.
Just speaking very quickly, this is a significant report done by UTAS. I think we're very fortunate that they did the study of Evandale and looking at how people can move around Evandale better. It would be a great shame if we did nothing with this report, and I think it's an important one that we consider and look at it even further. I think there are some good ideas and something for the council to consider. I think if we can get some costing, that may be an argument that we can get costings from the state government, I can always hope. Now we have some backing of an external body like University of Tasmania, it would be a great way to move forward.
I'll put that recommendation, Councillor
I
Adams.
just wanted to see if UniTAS did this report, and I was interested in reading the report and how some people got access to it or whatever. I was wondering why UniTAS wouldn't be coming and giving us a briefing or something. If
I do gather the local district committee was requested, would they like to have input, and they chose not to.
Okay.
That's what I've heard.
And that will be part of the report when we bring it back.
Okay.
Was that the Evandale local
Yes.
district?
Yes.
Yes. No further discussion. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. There's a notice of motion around the Longford bypass. I believe that's Councillor Terrace as well.
I'd like to move the motion as I've put, that the council prepare a report to examine options for a Longford bypass.
Is there a second?
Can I foreshadow
Yes, you can.
another motion?
Yes.
So,
Do I have a seconder to councillor Terrett's notice of motion, which is not the officer's motion?
No.
Notice of motion. Okay, without a seconder, that motion lapses. Councillor Andrews.
That council immediately seek alternative funding resources to upgrade the corner of Wilmore's Lane and Bishopsburn Road and Greenrises Road and Elphinston Road to enable heavy vehicles to choose another option to Longford Main Street.
Sorry, you better say that a bit slower.
Can I second that, because I think it's a damn good idea.
Well, it's another way around and it doesn't close off Wellington Street.
Yes, that's, yeah.
That council immediately seek alternative funding resources to upgrade the corner of Wilmore's Lane and Bishopsburn Road and Greenrises Road and Elphinston Road to enable heavy vehicles to choose another option to Longford's Main Street.
And we have a seconder, councillor Terrett seconded. Any discussion?
The reason I'm suggesting this alternative motion is that we don't want to stop traffic through Longford's Main Street. If we had a bypass around Longford, I think that it would kill the town, frankly. But we do have a problem with heavy vehicles going down the main street because they haven't got anywhere else to go. If we could spend some money, I'm mindful of the works manager and his concern about our country roads, but if we could source some extra money to upgrade those country roads that are already being used by some heavy vehicles as an alternative to the main street, then we can look after our main roads and encourage heavy vehicles to take a different route to Longford's main street.
Can I just, before councillor Bloss, can I just ask the works manager, are they state roads at all? State roads?
All council roads.
Okay, councillor Bloss.
I think the motion's okay to seek funding, but I think we need to have a bit of a plan first. And I'd like to see a report come back from our officers to see what the best alternatives are. You know, for example, Wilmore's Lane, which is a big, great road, but there is an issue with the train line up when it meets. You know, there's been accidents there, and it's not lighted. No lights, I mean, on the crossing.
Yes, there is lights.
Yes.
Lights, no, they're not there now. Then. Okay. But I just think that make sure that we're doing we're seeking funding, but we're not sure if we've got the right thing. So we should do a report first.
Wait a minute, councillor Brooks.
Isn't this motion potentially could cost the council quite considerably a lot of money in the future? At the moment, they're going on a state road. We want to direct them onto a council maintained road. So potentially, we could be doing ourselves out of a lot of money with maintenance if a lot of these big trucks head up Wilmore's Lane, Bishopsburn Road, Greenrises Road. In my opinion, I'd be better off to sticking to the state maintained road. So I won't be supporting that motion.
Councillor Adams. You can sum up later. Sum up,
I
councillor.
think some of the issues, and if you look at the figures that we've been presented with, it shows, you know, Ewanville's got 12,500, which is more than us. And it is a problem, Main Road. But I think Main Road could be looked at, Main Road of Longford. It's got quite a high timbre. It's a bit like, I think, dealing with the Campbelltown Road, and that's being dug out quite deeply to bring it back to a level. And I think, you know, they've built up the road over the last 150 years, I don't know, but it's very high, and I think it could be, and it's really difficult for people to get across when there's a lot of traffic, and there is a lot of traffic at times. So I think we need to address those issues of how you cross the street. Nobody's doing that. We haven't never done that. We haven't looked at it. I don't mind having a report come back to us to recommend alternative routes, but these are heavy vehicles, what we're talking about, and they take a lot of weight on, especially when you get to carting gravel and metal and things, and the cattle trucks aren't too bad, but when you get to other stuff, it can get pretty heavy.
Councillor Terrett.
I just, in speaking in favour of the motion, I think council needs to take some responsibility for the increasing traffic in Wellington Street and making future plans. What Councillor Andrews has put up is a fix. It will cost a lot of money to fix all those areas, but we cannot turn a blind eye to the increasing traffic in Wellington Street, particularly from heavy vehicles. It's becoming, just in the figures that are being supplied, it's increased by about 2,000 vehicle movements in 5 years. With cars, there are very few other options, and if we can take some heavy vehicles off going through Wellington Street with alternatives, I think it's a very good idea. I'm certainly in favour of bringing a further report back on other options, but I think this is a good solution to fixing the problem in the short term.
The word other options is not bad. I think.
Councillor Andrews, do you wish to sum up and
Yes, please.
check on that? And I'll read the recommendation before I put the vote.
The reason why I haven't suggested other options is that the research has already been done, and that's why I chose these routes specifically, because and there's already money in the budget for the corner of Wilmores Lane and Bishopsburn Road, so we've already acknowledged that that's a really bad corner, and when money is available, we as a council are going to try and fix up that corner. And it's come because of requests from farmers and users of heavy vehicles who are already using that back way to get around Longford and not come down the main street. And because of that corner, they find it very difficult. So we've actually already put in the budget that at some stage that corner will be addressed. So I've chosen the two roads specifically because, and the same is goes for Green Rises Road and Elphingston Road. There's a really bad corner there, and agricultural people are already using those two routes specifically to get themselves round Longford. And if we were able to spend some money on making those roads roadworthy for heavy vehicles, I'm suggesting that the money comes from elsewhere, not from council budget, then we would encourage more people to go that way and address the problem of Wellington Street, Main Street, and keep our agricultural industry feeling welcome and not driving away people from our town, which a bypass would do.
Okay, I'm going to read the recommendation, then I'll put that to the vote. That council immediately seek alternative funding resources to upgrade the corner of Wilmores Lane and Bishopsburn Road and Green Rises Road and Elphingston Road to enable heavy vehicles to choose another option to Longford's Main Street. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Put your hands up against, please. Councillor Brooks is the only one against. The motion's carried. I'll step out of the chair and ask the deputy to... Yes. Deputy, I'd like to move a motion. The motion is that council resolve by an absolute majority to deal with this matter which is not included in the agenda. That council note A, the letter of the Acting Director of Local Government, Mr Mike Mogridge, dated the 28th of November 2023, which is the attachment 5.3.2.1 to the agenda. 1, reminding the council of its obligations to provide a safe work environment. 2, noting that the ongoing nature of interactions, their apparent severity and potential adverse impacts on the wellbeing of staff. And 3, advising that he has referred the council to Workplace Tasmania due to his concerns about the allegations of bullying and harassment and other harmful behaviours. B, council's duties under Work Health and Safety Act 2012 Tasmania. And C, councillors' functions and duties under the Local Government Act 1993, the Act. 3, that A, Council reaffirm its commitment to the principles of respectful behaviour in accordance with our obligations under Section 28T of the Act. And B, the Mayor write to the Acting Director of Local Government to request that he recommend to the Minister of Local Government that he issue a Performance Improvement Direction, a PID, to Councillor Andrew McCullough, following him resuming his office as councillor, to protect Mr Jennings' health and safety in the workplace and prevent behaviour and conduct towards Mr Jennings that either treats him unfairly, causes him offence or embarrassment, or comprises bullying or harassment. That's my motion.
Do I have a seconder for the motion?
I'll
Thank
second.
you, Councillor Adams.
And I'd like to speak to that motion.
Thank you, Mayor.
Supporting information and the regions, and the reasons. I consider this as an urgent motion. This motion was made without notice. It was not able to be included in the meeting agenda because the council was only informed on the 6th of December 2023 that Andrew McCullough had been suspended as a councillor by the Code of Conduct panel. And the background. As noted in the Acting Director's letter dated the 28th of November, I had taken several proactive steps to protect Mr Jennings. I raised my concerns directly with Mr McCullough. I have met with the Director of Local Government to express my concerns. I issued a directive to Councillor McCullough in February, directing that he must not write to Mr McCullough in a rude, offensive, aggressive or threatening manner. I directed that Councillor McCullough's emails to Mr Jennings be redirected so that any offending comments could be redacted by staff before being sent to Mr Jennings for review and action. I have made a Code of Conduct complaint against Councillor McCullough. Mr McCullough's recent actions. Since suspension from office, Mr McCullough has emailed me to advise that he has applied to the Magistrates Court for a review of the Code of Conduct's panel's determination on the grounds that the panel has failed to comply with the rules of natural justice, not on the grounds of an error of law or fact. In that email, it is my opinion that Mr McCullough continued his conduct towards Mr Jennings unabated by insulting and threatening him. In comments made on a Facebook post on the 6th of December, Mr McCullough demonstrated disregard for the Code of Conduct panel process and a lack of remorse and any reflection upon his behaviour. Mr McCullough has made several similar public comments on radio and as quoted in the media, which caused me significant concern that his behaviour towards Mr Jennings will continue when he resumes office. A performance improvement direction is a step the Minister can take to require a councillor to take or refrain from taking certain action. A performance improvement direction can outline consequences if a councillor does not comply with the direction, one of which can be a suspension for up to 6 months. Performance improvement directions address situations where a councillor fails to comply with the Local Government Act or another act, and that breach is not minor. A performance improvement direction may be issued on a councillor where there has been several failures to comply with the Act or another Act. As the Local Government Act requires that councillors comply with the Code of Conduct, and a breach of the Code of Conduct is one reason the Minister may decide to issue a performance improvement direction. The Code of Conduct panel can only impose sanctions on a councillor for past behaviour. The panel does not have the power to direct a councillor in relation to their ongoing future behaviour, other than to direct them to apologise or to undergo training. I apprehend that Mr McCullough's behaviour towards Mr Jennings will continue unless the Minister regulates his behaviour by issuing a performance improvement direction, given that Mr McCullough has been warned by me and the Director of Local Government that we consider his conduct towards Mr Jennings unacceptable. He is aware of my Code of Conduct complaint against him, and yet his behaviour has continued. And despite his suspension, his behaviour has continued. I believe the officer has.
Thank you,
some
Mayor.
comments to make.
I have Ms Bill Houston, you have some comments to make?
Yes, I do, thank you. So the Mayor's put forward a motion without notice in accordance with Regulation 16.1 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations, which I'll just keep referring to as the meeting procedures. So in order to deal with a matter which is not on the agenda, which has been discussed earlier in this evening. The General Manager has to report the reason it's not possible to include it on the agenda. The General Manager has to report why the matter is urgent, and where the matter requires the advice of a qualified person, the General Manager has to give certification under Section 65 of the Local Government Act that the advice has been obtained and taken into account. So I just want to address the Council on those points. So the reason why the matter wasn't included on the agenda is that notice of the suspension was only advised on the 5th of December after the agenda was finalised, and that's a requirement of Section 28ZK of the Act. This matter is considered urgent as Mr McCullough has been suspended as a councillor for 21 days effective 5th of December and will resume his office on the 27th of December. The next council meeting is scheduled for Monday 29 January. It's not reasonably practicable to schedule a special council meeting upon Mr McCullough resuming his office due to the Christmas break and associated council office closures. The motion proposes the Mayor write to the Acting Director of the Local Government, requesting that they recommend to the Minister for the Local Government that the Minister issue a PID or Performance Improvement Direction, dealing with his behaviour towards the General Manager. Even if it were possible for Council to convene a special meeting over the Christmas break, office closures of the Office of Local Government and the Minister's office would mean that any consideration would be unlikely to occur until the new year after Mr McCullough resumes his office as a councillor. Mr Jennings has reported he feels bullied, harassed and embarrassed by the manner in which Mr McCullough treats him. The Acting Director of Local Government has reported the Council to WorkSafe Tasmania for investigation due to the Acting Director's concerns about the ongoing nature of interactions and their apparent severity and the potential adverse impacts on the wellbeing of Council staff, elected members and the broader community. The Acting Director has noted that it's his belief that it's necessary to immediately resolve the unacceptable situation. Mr McCullough's Facebook posts, media commentary and correspondence, as outlined in the Mayor's supporting reasons, are indicative that his behaviour towards Mr Jennings continues unabated. And I can advise that the General Manager gives certification under Section 65 of the Act that qualified legal advice has been obtained in relation to this motion.
Thank you, Ms Belhusen. Councillor Brooks.
I don't believe it is urgent. Like, Councillor McCullough is appealing this decision. Now, if it goes to appeal, when it goes to court, and if it's overturned, what happens then? We're making a judgment before it actually before he has a chance to have natural justice. It's a two-way street here. The emails are directed to the General Manager and they're questions. They're questions about different things in the community. The General Manager isn't answering the questions appropriately, in my opinion, and then that fuels the fire. Like, I know things can get out of hand quickly, but if the General Manager could answer the questions appropriately in a timely manner, we probably wouldn't be all sitting around the table to-ing and fro-ing about the state of Councillor McCullough, what he's done or what he hasn't done. Like, I think it's just premature until it goes to an appeal to be sitting around here saying send off a PID for what? What if he's found not guilty? He's got the code of conduct allegations against the Mayor and the General Manager himself for being bullied. So,
thank you, Councillor Brooks. Any other? Councillor Adams?
Yes, I think health and safety is an issue, the way that they reflect on people, and is very important. Moved to call the television ads that the Shop Assistants Union run for their members to be treated fairly at the cashier. And I think that's a prime example of people sometimes not treating people fairly, and I saw some TV footage the other day. I don't think natural justice comes into this. I think the appeal is not about natural justice, it's about fact. When you get to an appeal situation, it's about whether everything's been done right or whether it hasn't been. So natural justice, I don't think, is what it's about. That's a general term used for in a lot of issues. But health and safety, we're going to have health and safety come through the council. I guess they'll all talk to us as well and deal with issues that we may have. There's certainly a process, let's kid about it. There's a process here about attacking the general manager. Other councillors are involved in this. There's a caucus going on here. So let's fool around.
Point of order, I don't think that's appropriate.
I believe that it's appropriate. I believe that's what's occurring. I mean, you can say...
What other councillors
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Councillor Adams has the floor and he didn't interrupt you when you were speaking.
Derogatory comments.
You were making-
Derogatory comments, Chair.
No derogatory comments. It's just a general reality what's going on in this council. There's a general issue going on here and people are caucusing, which I've never done since I've been on this council and never will. There's an issue going on here. We know that it's going on. There are people working against a section of the council. They want to try to impose their will and their views onto everybody else. So I'll support this motion and let's move forward on it and try to get some resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Terrett, sorry.
Thank you.
Councillor Terrett.
I'm concerned mainly that this motion has been put up as urgency. I would like to have seen WorkSafe go and do their job first off. I think there is more than just one person to blame in this. Respect goes right across the board, and as a councillor on this council, there is some shared responsibility about protecting the general manager. Equally, the general manager should also show respect as well. And whilst I am not pointing fingers there, I have concerns, and we should also be very much mindful of that. I think it's for us as a council to make a determination without the person who is in the subject of that motion not being here, I think is flawed. PIDs are taken as very serious by the Office of Local Government, and it's taken by the Director after receiving all information. At this moment, there is still a lot of outstanding motions to the Code of Conduct panel. There are matters that still need to be worked on, and I don't see nothing being achieved by this motion. I would have preferred to see it being fixed internally in-house here and not to be put out to the Office of Local Government at this stage, because what have we done? Very little.
Thank you, Councillor Terrett. Councillor Archer, sorry.
Look, I'd just like to say, it's all very well to say get workplace safety, and it's my opinion that the environment here at council should never require workplace safety to come in. And I personally have read the emails and understand that basically if I employed anyone and they were treated to that kind of language, I'm not saying there's not some content agreement, but the language and the tone of the emails I consider to be bullying and harassment, and that Councillor McCullough needs to show that he is not running a personal vendetta against anybody, and at least treat council staff and all of us councillors with some respect. We do not have to sit and look and this to go on for another 2 or 3 years. It has got to be resolved. If it comes to workplace safety coming involved and making a recommendation, I just hope that we're all clear that it could not be a better end to it, because I've had enough.
Thank you, Councillor Archer. If there's no further discussion... Oh, sorry, Councillor Goss?
Councillor Archer's words, very wise, I think. We do need to, the bit that's really important for me is that how the officer feels, how the officers are felt from the bullying and harassment. And it's not about, it's really important about that he doesn't accept it, and we need to support that. We can't have people bullying and harassing our staff, each other, people in the community. We can't support that. And there has been opportunity for these things to be resolved over time, but it hasn't gone anywhere, and often it's cleared up and got even worse. So I think it's really important we do this. I'm not aware of what a TID is. PID? PID, so I didn't...
Performance Improvement Direction.
PID, I'm not aware what that means in totally. I haven't had any briefing on that, what it is, but I'm assuming it's going to be something that is quite strong and it will possibly, hopefully improve the environment for our officers and the rest of our employees and staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goss. If there's no further discussion, I'll go back to the Mayor to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then I'll put the motion.
Yes, I think over the last 12 months, we've had 12 months to try and sort this out and improve it, and nothing we've done so far, we've done everything correctly, but nothing we've done so far has worked. The General Manager is our employee. It is his job as General Manager to employ the rest of the staff, but we are responsible for the work, health and safety of our General Manager, and I don't believe we've created a safe workplace, and so that's why I've put this motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll put the motion, I'll read it again, just to make sure that we're all clear. So, 1, the Council note the letter of the Acting Director of Local Government, Mike Modridge, dated 28th November 2023, which is the attachment 5.3.2.1 to the agenda. 1, reminding the Council of its obligation to provide a safe work environment. 2, noting the ongoing nature of interactions, their apparent severity and potential adverse impacts on the wellbeing of staff. And 3, advising that he has referred the Council to WorkSafe Tasmania due to his concerns about allegations of bullying and harassment and other harmful behaviours. B, Council's duty under the Work Health and Safety Act 2012 TAS. And C, Councillors' functions and duties under the Local Government Act 1993 TAS, the Act. And 2, that A, Council reaffirm its commitment to the principles of respectful behaviour in accordance with our obligation under Section 28T of the Act. And B, the Mayor write to the Acting Director of Local Government to request that he recommend to the Minister for Local Government that he issue a Performance Improvement Direction, a PID, to Councillor Andrew McCulloch, following him resuming his office as Councillor, to protect the General Manager's, Des Jennings' health and safety in the workplace and prevent behaviour and conduct towards Mr Jennings that is either treats him unfairly, causes him offence or embarrassment, or comprises bullying or harassment. So I will now put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Those in favour, hands up please. Just note the room. Councillor Adams, Councillor Goss, Councillor Knowles, Councillor Andrews, Councillor Archer, my apologies, and myself. And against, hands up please. Councillor Terrett, Councillor Brooks. Thank you. Motion is passed.
T?
I'll work that out now. That depends on how far you want to go through the agenda. Do you want to have tea now, or would you like to keep working through the agenda?
Have dinner now.
Okay, right, so have a little have tea now.
Bit heavy.
Very far.
Bit heavy today. You right, Mayor? Is that?
Yes, I'm fine, yes, absolutely. We're going to have admin now, yes.
I'm not going. I better not.
just want to confirm that the councils are taking a break and they'll be back at 7 p.m. to continue the meeting.
Yeah, Alison's apology from now on, from the start of the meeting on. Council committees, the confirmation of their minutes. I'll move in a second to Councillor Lambert, Councillor Adams, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Committee recommendations. The Cressy Local District Committee have a recommendation around installing of table and seating. And the officer's recommendation is that we note the request of the Local District Committee, which is an operational matter. Councillor Goss, you're moving that?
Want to move that?
Yes?
Yeah,
And Councillor
I
Adams?
just, I'm trying to page, okay?
Oh, sorry.
It's page 14.
14.
Um,
You're happy to have moved that though? Oh, it's just a
I'm
note.
happy to accept the officer's recommendation,
Yes.
but it's something they, okay. Yeah, and that's, I'm happy to accept that. I'd like to also, wonder if council would like to write to the Bowls Club and congratulate them on doing such a fantastic mural on the side of the building. You know, it's not something in their core business. They did it as something extra to make the place look a lot better. It actually is made it very attractive up there on the council owned Memorial Park. And the people suggested that for those councils that haven't seen the area, it's quite a big mural and very attractive. And they think that the seat there would probably be a good addition, because it is an area which you would attract you to now. It's more than just a white building sitting there and a few bits of parking. So that's the reason to do it. So I don't know if I need to move a motion about letter of accommodation, letter of congratulations.
Officers have added it in. Are you happy with it being?
Yes, happy to hear, yes.
Everybody happy
No,
with
I'm
that?
happy, yeah. I'd just say, maybe, I don't know, one of the service clubs might be interested in helping support that as well. I know Rotary goes up there to the Bowls Club quite a bit these days, and have meals and things. That's all.
Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Other committee recommendations, the Longford Railway Sesquicentenary Committee.
150 years.
Yes, sorry. Have a motion in regard to the Railway Bridge project funding, and the officer's recommendation is that A, the Longford Railway Sesquicentenary Committee, including Tasrail representatives, be invited to present to the February 2024 Council at a workshop presentation to include costings and updated quotes, and B, subject to the outcome of the council workshop, a further report to be brought to council provided inclusive of funding options for consideration.
I'll move that.
Councillor Adams is moving, Councillor Goss is seconding. Any discussion, Councillor Goss?
Yeah, well, I just driving past the bridge today and looked over, and I think it'd be great to get this stuff done in the end, but the bridge has got a lot of graffiti on that kind of stuff, so there needs some other stuff done to it as well, not just the pillars at the end. When I read it today, I thought this would be an ideal opportunity to do a GoFundMe page and do something like that, see if we can get the community to donate to it. As we know, there's a lot of people out there really passionate about rail and railways and travel the world to ride on them and touch them and play with them and all that kind of stuff. And I think they'd appreciate this. So I'd like to suggest that the council investigate a GoFundMe page for that and to see if the community would donate to it. But I don't know if we can add that in
Good.
I think
Yeah, Councillor Adams, you might be able to answer that.
we set up our GoFundMe and we didn't get too many starters to support it. We tried it, mate. We had it going for over about 18 months during our 150 year celebrations, which we did well. We've run several model railways in the halls to highlight that, and they are unique. They're unique things, these things, and the columns. And but I just don't think that's a possibility at this stage, mate. Yeah.
Councillor Lambert. And
But the painting. Oh, please, could I just say?
Yes,
Sorry.
yeah, of course.
Please, take up with. We'll have a Tas Rail representative here, so please take up with him about the graffiti. They've talked about painting, but the painting has to be environmentally, so they'll have to cover the river. they'd have to cover underneath basically. Yeah, pretty tough.
To paint the bridge.
Pretty tough job.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to query part B of the officer's recommendation where it says, subject to the outcome of the council workshop, a further report can be provided inclusive of funding options for consideration. We can't make any decisions in the workshop, so I'm just wondering if someone can explain that part of the
What it's saying,
recommendation.
subject to the outcome, it might be that you seek additional information, so we will take on board just by consensus what information you'd like to have in the report. Like I said, it's no decision, we just listen as officers and then we'll provide a report. If you're still not happy with the report, we'll come back with further information, because I do understand a decision cannot be made at the workshop.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Terrett.
I'll be voting against this for a number of reasons. I don't believe this council should be putting funds into a Tasrail asset. This is for every $100,000 that this council spends, it's 1% of our rates increase each year. And as Councillor Goss mentioned, the bridge has graffiti already on it. If Tasrail aren't going to invest in their own bridge, if we do something to improve it, it's just going to look absolutely horrendous. And I think there are better things that we could be spending our money on around the council area.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
No.
Against?
Against.
Councillor Lambert and Councillor Terrett are against. Everybody else is in favour. Is that right? Okay, Ms. Edger?
Yeah.
Okay. We're up to information items. We need a recommendation to move and second. Councillor Adams and Councillor Lambert. Any discussion about information items? Councillor Brooks.
I've got just a query about the Longford odour that's been around the town for quite some number of weeks now. There is speculation whether it's coming from the sewerage lagoons or whether it's coming from the abattoir. I'd like to move a motion that the council investigate it with either Taswater or EPA, I'm not sure what department. EPA, to try and get a bit of a handle on where the smell's coming from and what has been done or what is going to be done to try and mitigate the smells coming around Longford again, because there's a lot of talk around the community, and I was under the impression when we got the wastewater treatment plant, the new wastewater treatment plant, that we wouldn't have any odours, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Is there a seconder to that motion? Yes, Councillor Lambert.
Do you need a seconder, or hasn't it already been? Oh, no, it's the information items. No, my apologies.
That's the information items.
Just wait till we get the motion up there.
So, well, perhaps I need to make some comments, so the councillors are aware of what the process has been. When officers are aware, even myself, coming to the office, we obviously smell the odour. I immediately talk to our EHO, who actually makes contact with the EPA immediately. I'm not sure how many community members have been making contact with the office, but I can follow up on that. But we are, as officers, following up every time we get the odour to make sure it's recorded that there is a problem with odour here. Yep. I think the works manager may have something else to add too.
Yes, I've got enough hours with numbers with the EPA. They'll be coming out of work time, to come and have a look, trying to work out where it's from. I think some nights it does smell like it's a fat issue, and it's from abattoirs, or another nights it just smells like sewage. Depending on what part of the town you are, if you're within George Street, Park Street, it seems to be abattoirs. If you're out towards back of Smith Street, head towards Hay, that's probably Taswater. So, but Richard, leave a message on his phone. He does come back, and he does come out regular.
Yep, that sounds good, but we haven't got an update from council to us councillors. What is going on. So if we could get something to all councillors with that motion, if that gets up, at least we'll all be up to speed with it, and we can answer any queries from the public, because it's talk of the town at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, so can I have a seconder to Councillor Brooks's motion? Councillor Archer?
I thought you did.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh,
it's quite.
No, that was the first one.
No, Janet actually seconded.
No, that's all right.
You're right.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, I'll put the motion Does any
I just have
discussion?
one other question
Yep.
about information
Oh,
items.
yes, no, how about I do this
Yep.
motion and then we'll go back to the information items. Okay, I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now back to
Information items, our banners, I know Christmas banners, I'm just driving around through the towns, there isn't very much in way of Christmas decorations, or I know the Christmas banners are being done, but it's a pretty sad indictment of how the Christmas looks in our towns. And we can do a much better job, and I only ask nicely of Mr McCulloch to, if we can look next year at having a better presentation of Christmas in our towns, particularly towns like Evandale, which has a Christmassy feel to it, and Perth, which we're having the banners, but certainly some type of strategy for Christmas next year, because it's too late now.
Madam Mayor, Council's policy has been, and we need to go back and review the policy, and we can bring a report back, was with regards to installing those banner poles. That was as far as Council's gone at this stage, but Council obviously can go further than that. If they wish to do more in each town, just needs to be an assessment done of what can and cannot be done. We're not, correct me or wrong, Mr Works Manager, we're not able to stick them on a row of poles or anything like that, are we?
No, so we've had permission for Department of Tasmania Networks, but they had to sign it over that we're responsible for every pole. Something else in the streets, a lot of the other towns, Launceston, prime example, the streets they own the streets. Compared to us, a lot of our roads are state growth, and we can't just do what we like.
I'm happy to bring back something. We'll listen for the next workshop and allow for a bit of discussion.
Yeah, it's very sad going around all the Midlands.
Councillor Adams.
Oh yeah, I think last time this debate was on a few years ago. Yeah, I'm not for Christmas bells and green stuff and planting snow on stuff in the middle of winter, in the middle of summer. In Australia, I think we've moved on from there, and I think it's about flowers and flowering shrubs and flowering trees and everything else. And I think in our banners, I think doing a pretty good job on that. I think we should be Pacific about it, and it should be an Australian, Tasmanian theme in our own rational way, and get away from Christmas bells and all that stuff.
I can let you know, Vogel's got tinsel all around their playground. Councillor Goss.
Just had a question. I thought it would have been on there on projects, but I can't find it there. It's about the dump point upgrade at Evandale at the park down by the river. Just wondered how that was suited.
We're still having problems.
Yeah, still have a problem because we've got a turning circle problem now. We've got everything into place bar getting the vehicles to the dump point. So it's gone back to the engineers to have another look at it for us. The way it's looking, we'd probably be able to put a toilet there, simpler than we can put a dump point at this stage. So, which they'll go hand in hand anyway. We might have to stage it.
Just another question on that same thing.
Same thing.
Thank you for that, Mr McCulloch. But also on the same place, the community asked about whether they've had overnight camping there in the past and been opened up, the grass area. Is that something we can get open up again this summer, or is that not a possibility?
Yes, I think on the signage there it does say it opens up a certain time of year, so I will look at that, and if it's available to do, we will.
One I've forgotten about because it's actually not on the agenda. But I did want to ask a question because of the information. Perth signage. We agreed some time back to change that
It's
signage.
going to get charged.
It's on the list to be changed. Actually, the drawings have been done, haven't they? I think for quotes, is that right?
Yeah, close to that for at the moment.
Okay, so
Not too far away.
okay, that's what I was thinking.
Councillor Brooks.
Couple of things to the works manager. The Mulga Way sign, how's that progressing? Been asked again by the district committee. I think last time we spoke you were talking to them. And the other street signs for Longford.
Yes, so I have got a plan back. Maybe I haven't sent it out. I do apologise. The Mulga Way sign should be up before Christmas. I'm just actually waiting for it to turn up, to be honest. Has been ordered, everything there.
Yeah, what about the street signs?
Haven't ordered those. I think I need to come back and work out which way we're going to go with it, because they've got about 5 different options, and I honestly wasn't out of one of the meetings and I missed what the local district committee had put through.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation that the information items be received. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now we go to Community and Development Reports, page 96.
Sorry, so can you say that
So
again?
page 96, well, that's on the computer. That'll be somewhere near there.
Great. Tell me the heading.
13.1.
Yeah. 13.1, Development Services Monthly Report. Sorry. Page is that? 96. Here we go. Okay, General Manager.
No, it's recommended.
As recommended,
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Adams and Councillor Archer. Any questions? No, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And the next one is 13.2, the policy around playground shading and fencing. Councillor Goss.
Move recommendation.
I'll second
Adams
it.
is seconding. Any discussion?
I think we get there with this. I think it's all.
That's my concerns with circumstance.
I'll put the recommendation. You didn't want to say anything?
I just want to note that I still have seriously concerns about shading of the play equipment in Seacombe Street, and this will not address it.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Yeah, Karen.
Against.
Against.
Oh, sorry, you're against. Right, I beg your pardon, I didn't see that. I missed that one, yeah. Governance reports, a discussion paper, managing conflicts of interest of councillors, the framework proposal.
As listed there, and the actual letter is actually in the attachments.
Can I ask a
Sarah?
question?
I've got to have a mover and a seconder, then must.
I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Adams and Councillor Brooks, yes, Councillor Terry.
Would it be better coming from yourself, Madam Mayor, mainly because of representing the council itself? And I asked in some respect a bit naively, but as the head of the council and putting a council submission like this to cabinet may have some extra weight. And the letter is fine, but just may suggest that.
That's not a problem.
No problem with
And
that?
if you're happy with that,
Everyone's happy with that? We don't need to make note of it or anything, because it'll just be.
Just
Change it there and then.
Yeah. Any other discussion? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right, good.
Mary, you just sign it.
Yeah, I'll sign it.
Okay.
14.2, request for feedback from the GAT on proposed best practice guide for recruitment and performance management of general managers.
I move that one.
Move
I just want to speak to it.
Terrett. And a second of Councillor Brooks. Discussion?
Just quick discussion on, this goes back to the Tasmanian Audit Office back in 2021, which had recommended for a ministerial order, and Northern Midlands Council contributed to that study and played a key role. So by not putting something down, we've already contributed, and it's played a key role about where we move. It's likely that this will occur early in the year, and I believe that legislative change is also being proposed as well on this. So basically, it's being consulted pretty heavily.
So you're moving that
I'll have to
provide feedback.
No, it's there. No, that's what been moved in second.
Receives the report.
It's one or the other.
Oh,
A-
right, sorry,
A or B.
sorry, yeah, so which one is it?
Or,
Sorry.
okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Receives the report and provides feedback to the Local Government
Aye.
Association of Tasmania.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
So it's A. Yep.
Aye. Sorry.
Sorry.
Any further discussion? I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 14.3 is policy, interim policy, safeguarding children and young people. Councillor Goss, are you moving?
Move the recommendation.
And Councillor Adams, you're seconding?
Yep, I'll second it.
Any discussion? Councillor Ross?
I just wondered, I just wondered, could this possibly be a resource sharing position? You know, because I'm sure that other councils will be doing the same thing. And I just wonder if that's something we can investigate. I don't know whether our officers have got a plan for a full-time person or a part-time person. But if it was a part-time person, it'd be a great opportunity to do some resource sharing with another council.
Madam Mayor, that would be, obviously it's an opportunity, I think it was mentioned last meeting as well. We are still trying to engage another governance officer. We're looking at this becoming part of that role at this stage. But if not, there will be an opportunity because there's been a committee established with the Northern Region group of councils to look at working out policies and procedures. We're actually preparing this as an interim policy. So as we meet the requirements of legislation, we're supposed to have a policy in place by the 1st of January. But the committee, and I think the committee will be meeting in next week or so. I think the 7 councils have identified officers to come and meet together to review the policies and procedures and work those up and bring it back to council.
Councillor Terry?
Have we had any insight of the councillors' requirements to have working with vulnerable people checks? Is it likely that we will be required to do that?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, that is something we are looking at. We're obviously developing a list with regards to our staff, but there could be a strong possibility that request comes back to elected members as well when the policy is prepared.
Thank you.
And I can let you know, Legat's lobbying quite heavily. I was at a meeting with the Premier the other day for councils to be resourced with the officers and everything that's needed in regards to that. Councillor Goss?
Instead of waiting for it to be legitimised, I suppose, we have a voluntary thing where councillors could send in their working for vulnerable people. So councillors volunteer, it's not compulsory, but we volunteer to do it. I suggest that we possibly do that.
They can register.
So we can send it into the general manager?
I'm a registered.
Put on record. Yep.
I'm a registered person. I've got a card.
We just send our numbers to the general manager.
Okay.
Yep.
And the other interesting conversation down in Hobart was I asked the question about our volunteer groups who run our halls, run our museums, do so much in the community, whether there'd be an expectation for them to all get this, and we're in the report it kind of says they will need to. And the answer was from the person who's prepared this whole report that if they're not particularly working with children, they won't need to. Well, that was a bit against what we've read. Victoria?
I would just address
Yes.
Councillor on that point. I suppose the broader issue is that volunteers
fall within the definition of worker, and a lot of our volunteers are in our recreational facilities, our halls. They run our facilities, so that's, I suppose, is a gold standard where we would, if they have it, that gives council that coverage to know that their volunteers have the working with vulnerable people checks.
My question down in Hobart was, can we get some assistance for councils to cover those sorts of costs for volunteers, because they're volunteering in our community, which shouldn't be costing them. Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 15.1 monthly report, financial statement. Ms. Crickmore.
No, I haven't got anything to highlight for this one.
Councillor Boss?
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Adams, your second?
Yes.
Any discussion? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Canara Park proposal? Yep, Councillor Terry, you're moving it. The seconder. That council accepts ownership and control of the state growth land known as Canara Park for community purposes and considers an improvement plan in future budget deliberations.
I really have difficulties with this. Can I speak?
Yeah, it'll lapse because of lack of a seconder. If we don't get a seconder, you can put
I'm
another.
not going to second it because I'm opposed to it.
Yeah.
And as I said, this is.
But before we go,
Okay.
Councillor Adams, it lapses because of a lack of a seconder, so we need another motion now.
Yeah, well, the last motion
Don't accept.
by Polly and Brooks was no further action be taken on this matter. I'd have thought that council's.
Do you wish to move that motion? No further action be taken?
Oh, yes, I'll move that, yes.
Okay, as a second.
And I'll second it again.
Councillor Brooks is seconding that.
And, I think just speaking on it, was that, you know, the travelling public used to use the toilet, goes past, it's on the Midlands Highway. We have other toilets. The department got out of it, and now it wants to give it to us, give the land to us, so that it can't get lobbied to put it back again, because no doubt it's been lobbied to put it back again. I don't know how many people, I want to make sure the people of Conara have the proper facilities that we can supply as a council, but if we put car parking in there, whatever, we'll have pressure on us to put a toilet there. And then we'll be maintaining a toilet that won't be used very much by the local people. It'll be used, and we'll be doing what the state's role is. And this is a shifting of roles, and I don't believe we should be doing it.
Can I just ask Ms Britnell, should we be considering the fact that State Growth has said we need a lease or something like for the playground? Do we have to
A licence.
A licence.
The only trouble is if you do get a licence on the playground area, it will include some of the car park and whatever, so it's probably best just push
We'll
that
have to have
first and then.
Yes, Councillor Terry.
Just speaking against Councillor Adams' motion. One of the things about Conara, it may not have a lot of people, but you still have children playing there and so forth. And there will be, if State Growth decides to close it down and say, bad luck, you're not going to get a licence, that's a bit of a loss of an asset to Conara as a community, and we'd have to start looking for somewhere to relocate or put a park in that area. It's a town that doesn't have an awful lot, and the cost of a maintenance of $5,000 is not a lot compared to some other areas from this council area. There are about 15,000 people pass that spot each day, and whilst it's important to look after people of the Northern Midlands, we are part of Tasmania, and I think it's a real obligation to look after everybody in Tasmania.
Councillor Goss.
Just the ground, I agree with the motion by Councillor Adams and Brooks. I support that, but I think that would be a really perfect opportunity for another, takeaway, petrol station, that kind of stuff. And I think that's something council should look at. And it'd be really great if a private company took it over, and then we wouldn't have cars crossing the highway to get into the Epping Forest shop. They'd be all on the one side of the road, it'd be much safer. It'd be a good thing for the town, because it'll bring employment, it'll bring people to the area. And I think that's something council should look at instigating in the future, not building a thing there, but getting someone to look at it and talk to State Growth and see if we can get permission to investigate somebody to take over the ground, because I think they can do a much better job for the travelling public and much better job for the town of Conara, and I think it'd be a much better idea. And we have talked about this in the past, and I think that it's something that probably we need to start looking at, especially when they want to give it back to us. We need something to do with it. It's a big parcel of ground, and it'd be a really fantastic place for vehicles to get off the road safely.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation that no further action be taken on this matter. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Councillor Terry, against. Motion carried. 15.3, the Old Bridge Road Reserve Transfer Proposal. And the recommendation is that council accepts ownership and control of the state growth land known as rear gardens of residential properties along the southern side of Old Bridge Road at Perth.
I'll move the recommendation. We had a lot of, we've had discussion.
I need a seconder first before we have discussion. Councillor Goss. Okay, Councillor Adams.
We've had a lot of discussion on this in recent years, and we finally got to where it's been sorted and we can move forward. And I think we need to. If the locals there are happy with what we're proposing and what's being proposed, and State Growth wants us to go down that road, I think so.
Madam Mayor, my understanding is that if we accept the ownership of that area, the current lessees will continue to lease the site until they dispose of the property. Then the area needs to be returned to us. I think you may recall a while ago there was a number there, one process to try and purchase one and a piece next to them to do a development on that site. The idea is actually to get that area back and make part of the reserve area. My understanding is a lot of lovely trees through that area as well, and would come up quite nice. And I think, as the officer put in the report, there's an opportunity to put the pathway through there down to the river as well.
Councillor Archer.
Just a question here, if some of these blocks of land is their garden is going into this section of land, who's responsible for fencing this land eventually?
Eventually, the property owner.
The property owner in their own?
Yeah. But that's not to suggest that they wouldn't come to us with some support of it.
They've got fences there now, I think.
Councillor Lambert.
Yes, are all the residents along there aware of this motion tonight? Because it just mentions that a couple of people have come forward. So is everyone aware that this is going to be what happens? I mean, have we even spoken to them?
Well, State Growth, sorry.
But the licence with State Growth is by one person, one property owner, on behalf of everyone. And that licence holder has gone to State Growth and said, we're happy for it to go to council.
As in the collective happy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Goss.
I just want to clarify a question about the insurance. If a third party take over the lease of that ground, are they going to provide the insurance for it, or is it council ground still? It's just something, I probably might not have an answer, but something we need to investigate, because if they got hurt on that land they're using, they might come to council and say, you're responsible, it's your land.
And they could do that, but ultimately they're leasing it, and if we continue with the lease, because if they need to still have a lease, we'll instigate that, but it'll clearly identify what their responsibilities are, and they will need to have insurance for what their own actions are on that site.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now we've got this item that was handed around, a late item, the SES request for transfer of ownership of asset. Who's the best one?
Yes. Oh, if you want to do it, or do you want me? Yep. So basically, the SES regional group have purchased a new vehicle for Campbelltown SES, and that's a new 7-tonne sort of truck with all the latest equipment. So it's a real upgrade from the old vehicle of 1997, I think it was purchased. And their suggestion is, because they will now provide the new truck and they will also maintain it, they're asking whether council would have any objections passing the old truck back to the SES, and they plan to put it on Bruny Island for a short time to assist with their old vehicle until that's replaced, and then come back for the northern region to be a spare vehicle where used where required.
So we have a recommendation. The council approved the transfer of the Campbelltown SES Unit F26 to the State Emergency Service, subject to the following conditions. 1. The unit is loaned to Bruny Island SES service for a maximum period of 24 months. And 2, the unit is then located in the northern area and ownership is retained by SES Northern Region.
Yeah, I'll move that.
I'll second it.
And Councillor Adams.
And just that we might need to get a bit of money for the rust after she's been on Bruni.
Councillor Goss.
Again, just about insurance, I'd like to make sure that we've got the vehicle covered. It's in Bruny Island, that's under some kind of insurance arrangement. So,
well, when we transfer it back to the state SES, they will need to insure it.
so our insurance covers what's on Bruny Island?
No, our insurance covers it while it's owned by council, but once we transfer it back to SES, to then send it to Bruny Island, they will need to cover it.
I'll insure it.
So it's not going to Bruny Island while it's in council's name? Thank you.
I haven't put that recommendation in. No, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, works reports. 16.1 Stormwater Quality Management Policy.
I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Adams. Do I have a seconder, people, for the stormwater?
Second.
Councillor Archer. Okay, any discussion?
It's always been an issue, and but it needs to be out there. What we're talking about. Mix up with the pump one, which is always a concern. That's the next one.
That's the next one. Yes, Councillor Archer.
Yes, could I just say that there's an issue with rubbish being dumped around the municipality, which is not necessarily getting into urban drains, but certainly is getting into some rural areas. I know the southern area of Longford, past the tip, it's a bad area for rubbish dumping, and what they throw into the creek that runs into my dam is not mentionable. So I think, yes, I support the policy, but in some cases it requires some works to prevent places being suitable for dumping, but also I think we need to look at some signage for rubbish dumping. We have one up in Cotton Street, I think it is, but yes, the area south of the tip is bad. So I think it's not just stormwater, it's management of waste.
Councillor Boss.
We have got some security cameras monitored. Could that area be policed with some security cameras if it's an ongoing issue up there?
Yeah, just made a note of that, and if our cameras are not up to standard, we'll get some that actually can identify who might be doing this. We just need to place them in a location which is secure, definitely.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 16.2, proposed private pump stormwater connection policy. Councillor Ross, you
Move the recommendation.
and Councillor Adams is seconding. Any discussion? No discussion, I'll put the, yes, Councillor Ross.
Yeah, just that, I think this is pretty important, this policy. We have got quite a few of these pumped stormwater connections in our municipality, and I'm probably sure that possibly some house owners probably don't even know that they've got to pump one in their, it's their responsibility. I'm sure they probably have, so I think it's important, and I know we had some discussion also earlier about we need to make sure we endorse on any planning permits that make it a highlight to the dwelling or the area's got a pumped stormwater, so that people can see it when they do a title transfer and that kind of stuff. So it's really important. And I just hope this resolves some of their problems in those areas. Thank you.
No further conversation. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, we move into closed council. Isn't it?
We are, Kim.